All right. Ready to dive into a story you might think you know.
Oh, yeah.
Snow White.
Okay. We're going.
Deep into the original Grimm's fairy tale.
Uh-huh.
Not the Disney version.
Right.
You might be more familiar with that one.
Yeah, I think most people are.
But the original.
The OG.
Yeah, the OG.
Yeah.
So you're probably thinking, Snow White, what more is there to uncover?
Right. It's a pretty simple story.
But trust me, beneath the surface
Oh, yeah.
of this seemingly simple tale
Mm-hmm.
lies a world
Yeah.
of symbolism,
Mm-hmm.
social commentary,
Okay.
and surprising darkness.
Oh, it gets dark.
And that's what we're here to explore.
Let's do it.
We'll uncover linguistic roots,
Linguistic roots sounds good.
delve into those darker elements,
Ooh, fun.
and examine why this story has resonated across cultures for centuries.
Okay, so where should we start?
Where do you think we should start?
Well, I think the best place to start is always the beginning.
Okay, sure.
So how about the name itself? Snuitchen.
Snuitchen. Is that
a mouthful, right?
It is a mouthful.
Yeah, it's German.
Yeah, okay.
But it holds a fascinating clue.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So Snuitchen, that's the original German title.
Oh, okay.
And Snee,
Okay.
S-N-E-E,
Okay.
is a dialectal variation
Of
of Schnee.
Which is the German word for snow.
For snow.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
both of those connect back to the Indo-European root word.
Oh, wow, we're going way back.
We're going way back.
So it's literally Snow White in multiple languages.
Exactly.
Like a linguistic ancestor to the English name we all know.
Right.
That's fascinating.
So this deep-rooted name
Okay.
sets the stage for a story that's equally layered and complex.
Okay.
The tale begins with a scene that sets the tone right away.
Oh, okay.
Snow White's birth,
Okay.
juxtaposed with the death of her mother.
Wow. Okay, so right away,
Right away.
we've got this contrast between beauty and mortality right from the beginning.
Yeah, that seems to be woven through the entire story.
Yeah, it is. It's really interesting.
So then how does the evil queen come into play?
Well, the evil queen is a character consumed by her desire to be the fairest of them all.
Ah, yes, of course.
Right.
Mirror, mirror on the wall.
Mirror, mirror on the wall.
It's fascinating how that phrase
Yeah.
has seeped into our collective consciousness.
It really has.
You know, it's become shorthand for
Yeah.
this desire to be seen as the most beautiful.
Exactly. Exactly.
But in the story, her desire for beauty quickly turns into this need for control
Oh, absolutely.
when Snow White's beauty surpasses her own.
Right. It's a threat.
I mean, she's a queen.
You'd think she'd be able to handle a little competition.
Yeah, you'd think so, right?
Yeah.
Why go to such extreme lengths?
Well, it's not just about beauty.
What is it about then?
It's about power.
Power, okay.
The mirror
Mm.
becomes a symbol of her anxieties
Okay.
about aging and losing her power. So she sees Snow White as a threat to everything she holds dear.
Oh, wow.
A living reminder of her own fading youth.
So that fear drives her to
Oh.
make that chilling command
Yes.
to the huntsman
Yes, huntsman.
to take Snow White into the woods.
Into the woods, yeah. And, well, it's pretty brutal.
It's pretty brutal, right?
Yeah.
So she demands Snow White's heart and liver.
As proof of her death.
Wow, this is a children's story.
Well, the Grimm brothers.
They didn't mess around.
No, they didn't.
This act reveals the dark undercurrents of the world,
Yeah, it does.
where power and beauty are intertwined,
Mm-hmm.
and where women especially are often valued for their appearance.
That's right.
But even in this grim scenario,
Mm-hmm.
we see a spark of compassion
We do.
with the huntsman.
Exactly.
He's moved by Snow White's innocence,
Mm-hmm.
and he chooses mercy.
He does.
He spares her life
Yes.
and provides the queen with the heart and liver
Okay.
of a boar instead.
A boar. Interesting.
Yeah, why a boar?
Well, I think there's some symbolism there.
Okay, let's hear it.
So the boar, right,
What?
it's often associated with
Hang on.
wildness and savagery.
Okay,
So it kind of highlights the brutal world that Snow White is thrust into.
that makes sense.
And it's a stark contrast to the Disney version.
Oh, yeah, very different. from
Right.
that. Yeah.
Where they kind of sanitize the forest.
Right.
And it kind of reflects the evolving societal attitudes
Okay.
toward violence
Yeah.
and childhood innocence.
Interesting.
So Snow White flees into the forest,
Okay.
a world teeming with both danger and possibility.
Oh, okay.
And that's where she stumbles upon a charming little cottage,
Yeah.
the home of the seven dwarfs.
Of course, the seven dwarfs.
Right.
What's it like?
Well, it's described as meticulously kept,
Okay.
tiny furniture and place settings for each dwarf.
Wow, they sound very organized.
Yeah, very orderly, very hardworking.
Strong sense of community.
Yeah,
Definitely that.
And Snow White?
It's very considerate.
So?
Only takes a small amount of food and drink from each place setting.
Even though she must be famished?
Right. Exactly.
That's very kind of her.
It really shows her character.
Yeah. Resourceful, respectful,
Mm-hmm.
already adapting to this unfamiliar environment.
That's right.
But I have a feeling her troubles aren't over.
Oh, no.
The evil queen,
Right.
consumed by her obsession.
She's not going to let a little failed assassination attempt stop her.
Oh, no. No.
What happens next?
Well, that's where things take a darker turn.
Okay, how much darker are we talking?
The queen makes not one, two, but three
3!
more attempts on Snow White's life.
Oh, wow.
Each attempt is more cunning and deceptive than the last.
Okay, and how does she do it?
She uses tools of feminine allure,
Okay.
a corset, a comb, a poisoned apple,
Wait a minute.
to exploit Snow White's innocence and trust.
Okay, why those 3 specific items?
That's where it gets really interesting.
All right, I'm listening.
Each item in its own way reflects societal expectations and pressures placed upon women.
Okay.
The corset, for example, symbolizes the constraint and shaping of the female body.
So it's not just about beauty, it's about control.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm starting to see a pattern here.
Yeah.
What about the comb and the apple?
Okay, so the comb, it's often used to enhance beauty and attract attention.
Right.
So it represents the pressure women face
Okay.
to conform to standards of attractiveness.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then, of course, there's the apple.
Oh, the apple.
It's an iconic symbol of temptation
Uh-huh.
and forbidden knowledge.
The poisoned apple.
The poisoned apple.
Such a powerful image.
It really is.
And one that has resonated throughout history.
Yeah, it's fascinating how that's become so iconic.
And the way the queen tricks Snow White
Right.
into taking a bite by eating the seemingly safe white half herself.
The white half.
It just adds another layer.
It's very clever.
Yeah.
It really is.
It highlights the idea that evil can often disguise itself
Oh, yeah?
as something harmless or even attractive.
Absolutely.
Chilling.
Okay, so we've got the symbolism down.
Yeah, I think so.
We know Snewichtin has deep linguistic roots, and we're starting to see how these everyday objects are used to explore these larger themes.
Okay, so what happens next?
Well, that's what we'll pick up in part 2
Oh, okay.
of our deep dives.
All right, I can't wait. So last time we left off with the evil queen just hatching a series of increasingly cunning plots to get rid of Snow White.
Yeah, she's really upping her game.
But before we get into those, you're about to explain how those seemingly everyday objects take on these symbolic meanings.
Right. It's like the Brothers Grimm were using these items to comment on their own society.
Okay.
So the corset, it can be seen as a symbol of the restrictive social norms that women were expected to conform to.
Okay, so it's not just about the physical appearance.
No, it's about control.
Control.
Limiting their freedom and agency.
It's like they're saying beauty can be a cage.
Yeah, not just a gift.
Right, and women are often trapped by these unrealistic expectations.
Exactly.
And then we have the poisoned comb.
Oh, yeah, the comb.
Seems like a harmless object on the surface.
Right, vanity, beauty.
But in the context of the story...
It becomes a tool of manipulation.
Oh, wow.
Used to poison Snow White's mind and body.
So the comb represents the way women are often targeted and exploited for their beauty.
Yeah, it's like they can't even trust something as simple as a comb.
Right.
And then we have the most iconic object of all, the poisoned apple.
The poisoned apple.
Yeah.
Such a powerful image.
I know, it's hard to separate it from the story.
It really is.
It's so ingrained in our cultural consciousness.
You see a red apple with a bite taken out of it?
Yeah.
You instantly think of Snow White?
Exactly.
But what makes the symbol so potent?
Well, the apple's long been associated with temptation and forbidden knowledge.
Oh.
Going all the way back to Adam and Eve.
Right, of course.
So in Snow White, it represents the seductive nature of appearances.
Okay.
You know, the danger of blindly trusting what seems beautiful or appealing.
And the way she tricks Snow White into taking a bite.
Yeah, she eats the white half.
Right.
It just adds another layer of deception.
It's chilling.
It really highlights the idea that evil can disguise itself as something harmless.
Absolutely. Or even attractive.
Okay, so we've got the symbolism down.
We do.
But let's get back to the story.
Okay. Does Snow White give in to these poisoned objects?
Each attempt leaves her in a death-like state.
Oh, no.
But thankfully, the dwarfs are there to intervene.
Oh, okay.
They remove the corset, they extract the poison comb, and revive her each time.
Wow, so she's resilient.
She is.
She bounces back.
Yeah, but it must take a toll.
Yeah, I mean, being constantly targeted.
By this relentless queen.
It's a lot.
But it speaks to her strength.
Okay.
Despite facing unimaginable danger,
yeah,
she retains her innocence and her kindness.
Even after these terrifying ordeals.
She continues to trust.
Yeah, some might say a little too trusting.
Yeah, a little naive.
What do you think?
I think there's definitely a debate to be had about her agency in the story.
Right. Is she a passive victim?
Or does she actively shape her own destiny?
I mean, she does choose to flee into the forest.
Right.
She chooses to trust the dwarfs.
Yeah.
And ultimately, she chooses to take a bite of that apple.
Right. That's a pivotal moment.
But this time, she doesn't wake up.
Well, the dwarves believe she's dead. They're heartbroken. And they can't bear to bury her.
I don't blame them.
So they place her in a glass coffin.
A glass coffin?
On a mountaintop.
That's a pretty striking image.
It is, right? It almost feels like they're putting her on display.
Yeah, like a precious object.
And it sets the stage for the arrival of another key character. The prince.
Ah, yes, the prince.
Handsome prince coming to the rescue.
That's where the Disney version really romanticizes things.
Oh, yeah, big time.
He becomes obsessed with this seemingly dead woman.
In a glass coffin. Yeah, it's a little creepy.
It's a little creepy.
Yeah.
What are his motivations?
Right. Is it true love?
Yeah.
Or just captivated by her beauty?
Even in death.
Regardless, he begs the dwarfs to let him take her coffin.
And they agree.
They do.
Wow.
And as his servants are carrying the coffin away, they stumble.
Oh, no.
And something extraordinary happens.
The piece of poisoned apple gets dislodged.
It does?
She wakes up.
She wakes up.
Talk about a dramatic revival.
It's like she's literally brought back from the dead.
The prince must be overjoyed.
Overjoyed.
And they ride off into the sunset.
To his father's castle to get married.
A classic fairy tale ending. There's a but.
But we haven't heard from the evil queen in a while.
Oh, that's right.
I have a feeling she's not going to take this lying down.
I have a feeling you're right.
She's about to get some news that will turn her world upside down.
Ooh, can't wait to hear what happens next.
I think things are about to get interesting.
Okay, so we left off with Snow White seemingly back from the dead.
Yeah, she's back.
About to ride off into the sunset with Prince Charming.
Right, but
we all know
the
evil queen isn't one to go down without a fight.
No, she is not.
What happens next?
Well, remember, the queen thinks she's won.
Right, she's consulted her mirror, gotten confirmation that she's finally the fairest of them all.
She's probably feeling pretty smug about the whole thing.
I bet, but it's all built on a lie.
Right.
And I'm guessing the truth doesn't stay hidden for long?
No, not at all.
So what happens? How does she find out?
Well, word gets back to the queen.
Okay.
Snow White's alive.
Alive?
Alive and well, and about to marry a prince.
Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine?
I can't even imagine.
The rage?
The humiliation.
After all that plotting and scheming.
All for nothing.
Her deepest fear has come true.
Wow.
She's been replaced, outshone.
Okay, so what does she do?
Well, surprisingly...
She doesn't opt for brute force this time.
What does she do then?
Something compels her to attend the wedding.
The wedding.
Yeah. Why?
Maybe she can't quite believe the news. Or maybe she needs to see it.
See it.
To believe it.
Okay, so she goes to the wedding. Is she planning some kind of final showdown?
No. The Grimm brothers take a much different approach.
Oh, okay.
Much more unsettling.
All right.
When she arrives and sees Snow White, radiant and alive, she's completely paralyzed by fear and shock.
Wow.
It's like her carefully constructed world, her obsession with beauty and power,
crumbles before her very eyes.
Exactly.
So it's not a physical battle, but a psychological one.
Right.
It's a defeat that cuts deeper than any physical wound.
It does, and her punishment reflects this.
Oh, okay, this is where those red-hot iron shoes come into play, right?
Yes, the red-hot iron shoes.
I was wondering when those would show up again.
She's forced to wear them and dance until she dies.
Wow, talk about a brutal ending.
It is.
It's certainly a far cry from Disney.
Very different.
But it underscores this key theme that runs through so many Grimm fairy tales.
Right. Actions have consequences.
Yeah, unchecked vanity and cruelty will ultimately lead to self-destruction.
Exactly.
So we've come to the end of our deep dive on Snow White.
We have.
What are we left with?
Well, I think it's much more layered than just a cautionary tale about vanity.
It explores themes of innocence, resilience, the power of community, and the enduring allure and the potential dangers of beauty. It's really interesting how Those seemingly simple elements
Yeah, the mirror, the comb, the apple.
become these profound symbolic meanings.
Right, they resonate with us because they tap into our anxieties and desires.
And perhaps it's that timeless quality,
Yeah.
the ability to speak to something deep within us, that explains why Snow White continues to captivate audiences.
Absolutely, I think you're right.
So what's the most important thing you would say to our listener to take away from this deep dive?
I'd encourage them to think about the ways in which beauty is portrayed.
Okay.
Not just in fairy tales.
But in our own lives.
How do we define beauty?
Yeah.
Who benefits from these definitions?
That's a good question.
What are the consequences?
Of valuing appearances above all else.
Right.
It makes me think about the contrast between this version and the Disney adaptation.
Yeah.
We often try to shield children from the darkness.
Right.
But maybe there's value in exploring those shadows, too.
Absolutely. Those darker elements can contain profound insights.
So it's time to close the book on Snow White.
It is.
But I encourage you, dear listener,
to
continue exploring.
Keep questioning.
Keep diving deep.
And keep diving deep.